We're going to start on hands and knees with something you're probably familiar with, even if you haven't taken much yoga, and it's called cat and cow. So what you're going to do is slowly lift your tailbone toward the ceiling, let your lower belly drop, let the spine move to the floor, let the shoulder blades move together, lift the head last, and then let the spine release down toward the floor. So that means pull the tailbone toward the floor. So you're rounding the lower back, then you're rounding the upper back, and then the head is the last thing to drop down. It's a very wave-like movement, starting from the lowest part of the spine. The tailbone is lifting. Lower spine is moving toward the floor. Mid spine is moving toward the floor. Upper spine moving toward the floor. Head lifts last. Let's do that 2 more times. Tuck the tailbone. Round the lower, middle, upper back, chin to chest. And then reverse. Tailbone up. Lower back drops. Spine moves to the floor. Head lifts up. Then find a neutral position. Wrists are a little bit in front of the shoulders. Press back into a downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And pedal the legs out a little bit. Maybe this is your first downward facing dog of the day. Maybe it's your first downward facing dog of the week. Hopefully it's not your first downward facing dog of the month. But if it is, still pedal the legs out. Great. Step the right foot forward so that it's on the outside of your right hand. Right? So it's outside the hand. The left knee is going to come down to the floor. Then I want you to spin and look up toward the right hand. If this is accessible for you, not a big deal, not a big problem, then you're going to lift the back knee off the floor, continue to drop the hips down, and spin the chest open. Breathing full and deep. One more. And then release the hand down. Spin your left heel, that's your back foot, to the floor. When you do that, your butt kind of wants to stick out a little bit. I want you to pull your hips back to center and then spin the chest as you lift the left arm up toward the ceiling. Inhaling and exhaling. Bring the left hand down to the floor. Lift the back heel. Press back, downward facing dog. Bring the left foot forward in between, to the outside of the hand. Bring the right knee down. Then you're going to turn to the left. Open up through the spine, through the chest. And then your option, bring the back knee away from the floor. And then continue to spin. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Then release the hand down. Bring the back heel to the floor. And reach the right arm up. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. And release the hand down. Step back, downward facing dog. Slowly walk the feet forward. As you walk the feet forward, pedal out the feet, pedal out the legs. No rush. And each time you get a little closer, maybe you feel a different kind of stretch. Then bend the knees, hang out over the legs for a moment. Head is heavy. Interlace the fingers behind the back. See if you can get the palms to touch each other. They might move away from each other, that's okay. But if you can, bring them together. Then try to lift the fists up as you straighten the arms. Mhm. And then see if you can begin to extend the legs. You're going to inhale, bend the knees deep, look forward, lengthen the spine, and open up across the chest. Mhm. And then keep the chest close to the legs, fold forward, bring the fist up and over. Bend the knees, look forward, long across the collarbones, and then folding forward. And then again, bend the knees, lift the chest, look forward, then fold forward and release the hands. Put a small bend in the knees and roll yourself up to stand. All right, we're going to continue the warm up with a very simple version of Surya Namaskar. I know that when I lift my hands up, they're going to disappear from your view. But what I want you to do is just, it's really not that complicated. Just imagine my arms up there. I'm not doing anything fancy. As you inhale, reach the hands up, look toward the thumbs. And then as you exhale, put a bend in the knees, hands come back toward the center of the chest. Fold forward, bring the hands to the mat or to the floor. You can practice on the floor also. Then with the hands pressing down, release the neck and see if you can straighten the legs out. Then step the right foot back into a lunge, look forward. Step the left foot back, you're in a plank position. Bring the knees to the floor. Chest and chin to the floor. Hips are really high. Then you're going to slide forward, point your toes, pause here for a moment. There is no weight in your hands. You're using the muscles of the back to lift yourself up. Then slowly release the forehead down toward the mat or the floor. Now, by pressing into your hands, lift the head, lift the chest, Bhujangasana, tuck the toes as you move back, feet stay together, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Right foot forward, in between the hands. The left foot forward, knees are bent. Press the palms down really strong, let the head be heavy, and then try to straighten the legs out. Then bend your knees, bring the hands to the center of the chest as you lift up, straighten the legs, reach the arms up, and exhaling, release the hands to the center of the chest, follow the thumbs with the eyes, and inhaling, lift up, and exhaling, hands through the center of the chest, bend knees, fold forward, palms to floor, extend the knees, straighten the legs. Then looking forward, the left foot steps back into a lunge. Then the right foot is back, plank pose, feet together. Bring the knees to the floor. Keep your hips high, chest and chin to the floor. Point your toes as you inhale, slide forward, Bhujangasana, but no weight in the hands. Release the forehead toward the floor, Namasana. Now using your arms and the musculature of your back, lift the head, chest, press into the arms, lift the hips away from the floor as you tuck the toes. Move back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog with the feet together. Then left foot forward in between the hands. Bring the right knee to the floor for a moment. Open up across the chest, look forward. Then step the right foot forward to meet the left foot. Let the head be heavy and fold over the legs. Then bend the knees, reach the hands up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling the arms alongside the body. Fantastic. All right. Without using your hands, I want you to bend the right knee in towards your chest. Open the knee onto the side. Bring the leg back and roll it in. So now if you watch me for a moment, you'll see that when I come up, how my foot is moving so that I'm really rotating the thigh bone, the femur bone in my hip socket. Let's try that with the other leg. The knee comes forward, out to the side, and the foot lifts. Then, as the knee moves down, the foot goes up. My knees come together, and I reverse. Knee up, forward, out to the side, back, and then rolls in as the leg goes up. Great. Shake the legs out a little bit. Shake the arms out. Separate the feet a bit wider than your hips. Toes turn out a few degrees. Now, this might be a challenge for some of us. And if it is, what I want you to do is support the space underneath your heels. What does that look like exactly? I'll put this, and you'll see in a moment. Feet are wide. And then you're going to come down to a squatting position, hands together at the center of the chest, top of the head lifting up. Now, if it feels like you can only kind of get here, or you're going to fall forward or fall back, what I want you to do is take a blanket or a pillow, so you can see it's going to be underneath my heels or the middle of the foot, but it's not under the whole foot. It's just underneath the back of the foot. And that allows me to sit upright. We're going to hold here for a few breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Keep doing this. Let's see what the chat says, if I'm allowed to look at people or not. Oh, great. Totally fine with joining the video. Let's go to the gallery view. All right. Yeah, everybody looks good. All right. Phoebe, nice. Don't forget to sit up tall. So what I don't want you to think of is that you're only going down. Is that Claire Inkster? I feel like you're sitting up tall. The top of the head is trying to go up. Yeah, fantastic. Good. And then make your way all the way down to sit. Extend the legs out in front of you. So you're in a wide angle seat. Upavishta Konasana. Yep. I see some of you have two people in the apartment, and the apartment looks about as big as my apartment, which is to say not big. So make the space that you can. And then what you're going to do is start with your right leg. You're going to lean weight onto your right buttock, turn the leg out, and the left leg turns in, right? So the whole thing, it's like your feet are waving to the right, and then go to the other side and feet are waving to the left. Try as much as you can to get the movement of the femur bone, the thigh bone in the hip socket as you go side to side. Side to side. Great. I mean, I can't really see everybody. I'm just kind of saying great. So, but I think it's probably good. All right. Good. Come back center. We're going to set up for pigeon preparation on the left side with the left leg. The left shin is going to come forward. Right leg is back. Some of you, I was able to see, have a very nice practice. Most everybody seems to have a nice practice. But what I want you to do is, if you're very mobile, don't let your left buttock come to the floor. And for those of you that are like me and a little bit more on the stiff side, your left buttock isn't going to come to the floor anyway. So that's great. You're ahead of the game. But for those that are more mobile, left hip is up. Now, bring both hands to your left shin and you're trying to come upright. Yeah. Then lift your back knee off the floor. Try to go more upright. Press your left shin down to get balance. Now, if you're still excited about life, see if you can bring your almost no weight in your hands, and then see, can you bring your hands to your hips? Bring your hands to your hips, and so you're lifting, lifting, lifting. Don't you let that buttock touch the floor. Lift higher, lift higher, lift higher, and then release down. Oh. Continue to stretch over the leg. And then coming up, press back, down dog, lift the left leg up, bend the knee, open up the hip, release the foot and switch sides. Right shin is forward. Yep. Nice, Mr. Dayananda. Fantastic. Great. Now, same as we did on the other side, I see some of us are quite mobile. Karina, don't let your right buttock and upper thigh come to the floor. Lift up. You're using the strength of the outer leg. And then option, bring the hands to the hips. Yeah. And you're using the outer leg. Lift up a little bit higher, lift up a little bit higher. Don't use your eyebrows, Phoebe. And then slowly release down, folding forward. Yeah. Okay, no laughing, Ruzbeh. Only suffering in yoga practice. Great. Okay, I should do the other side too. Otherwise, I'm going to be walking crooked for the rest of the day. Okay, come up. Tuck the back toes. Lift the leg. Bend the knee. Open up the hip. And then release the foot down toward the floor. Release the knees down. Okay. You're going to start standing on your knees. This next Parigasana gait. Bring the right foot out to the side. Keep the left knee under the hip, right? So don't let it move out to the side. Keep the left knee under the hip. And then bring the left arm up. Right hand is on the right leg. And lean over to the side. Some of us will not have to go very far to feel a deep stretch just at the top of the hip, the beginning of the waist. Continue to go up, not so much over to the side, but up, 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 up. The left knee is pressing into the floor. The right arm is reaching up and over. Breathing full and deep, even if I'm not counting every breath. And then coming back center. Bring the right knee to the floor. Left leg out to the side. Right arm is up. Left hand is on the left leg. And then lean over to the side. And just if you're practicing with someone, just notice, is their right knee underneath their right hip, or have they let their hips kind of move away? If you're not practicing with somebody, just imagine somebody in front of you doing it wrong and correct them. And then coming back center. Bring the knees to the floor. Bring the right foot forward in front of you. You're in a lunge position. Let me just do a quick time check so I don't run late on us. Okay. The right foot is forward, left knee is back. What I want you to feel, right? So if your left knee is sensitive, maybe you want to put something underneath your left knee. What I want you to see is that your right foot is in front of your right knee. Right? So that I don't want the foot underneath the knee or behind the knee. I want the foot in front of the knee. You want the foot in front of the knee. Age UK wants the right foot in front of the right knee, okay? Then both hands onto the right leg toward the knee and let the hips sink down, sink down. As the hips descend, press into the hands, but move your spine away from the leg. The next movement is not a big movement, but it has a very, or it can have a very profound shift. Your left hip, turn it gently toward the inner right knee. You got that? Turn the left hip toward the inner right knee and continue to let the hips descend. Rusba, don't tell him what to do. Just kidding. Follows him around. But don't turn the shoulders, turn the hip, right? So we're working on hip mobility, not moving the whole body. Can you feel how when you try to turn the left hip toward the right knee, it changes the stretch? Maybe brings the stretch a little bit higher up onto the groin. Then bring the right hand down to the floor, bring the left arm up and lean over to the side. Lean over. Right hand. The right foot is forward, the right hand is on the floor, left arm is up and over. Don't lean forward, lean directly to the side. Good, and then come center and lift the back knee away from the floor, switch positions of the feet. So this digital teaching of yoga sometimes is a challenge for me because I don't want to speak into a void. I want to speak to people who I'm practicing with. So I appreciate some of you being having the camera on. If you don't have the camera on, I totally appreciate that as well. And I'll just assume that whatever you're doing is exactly as it should be by Krishna's divine grace. All right. The left foot, is it underneath the knee? Is it behind the knee? Nay, it's in front of the knee. You're descending, the hands are on the leg, and you're lifting the spine back. Right? So it's not necessarily turning it into a back bend, it's moving the whole spine back. And then the hips descend, and the right hip is turning toward the inner left knee. Right hip is turning toward the inner left knee, and continue to descend your pelvis. It's intense. Yep. And now try not to lean forward. So don't go forward. Stay upright. Left hand down, right arm up and over. So don't lean forward. We're getting into the quadratus lumborum. We're getting into the transverse abdominis, obliques, internal and external. Bend the left knee deeper as you reach the right arm higher. And then release the hand down. Come back onto a hands and knees position. And let's push back into downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. A nice way to neutralize and come back to a somewhat sense of equilibrium. Great. Step your right foot forward in between the hands. Now walk your right foot over to your left thumb. So I'll try to do it facing you. It's hard because, again, my apartment is tiny, so I'm right next to a wall. But so you're going to walk the right foot over toward the left thumb. So you've crossed the legs. But what I want you to do now, take your right hand to your right hip and move your outer right hip back so that the hips are as even as you can get them. Then bring both hands to the floor and slowly straighten out your right leg. Slowly straighten out your right leg. You're folding over the legs, but you should feel, most of us will feel, a greater stretch through the outer part of the right leg instead of directly to the back of the leg. Keep breathing, keep doing that. I'm just going to take a peek to see if what I said made sense to anybody. Nice, Ruth. Good. Yeah. You can use blocks if you have blocks, blankets, pillows. If you have a small person you can press on, whatever's going to get you there. Great. And then step back, downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward in between the hands. Walk the left foot to the right thumb. Walk the left foot over to the right thumb. Then use your left hand on the hip crease. Left hand to the left hip crease. The thumb fits in there real nice. And then slide the hip back as you extend the leg. Straighten the left leg by moving the outer left hip back. Yes, and then fold forward over the leg again, and you've crossed. You've narrowed the space of the inner thighs. Yes. Both hands on the floor. That'll give you balance. Yep. And um, the Sana Kokonin, Mr. Come up onto your, yeah, hey, come up onto your fingertips. Give yourself a little more space. Don't force it. Yeah. Yeah. There's enough challenges in life already. Great. And then step back, downward facing dog. Now we're going to do the opposite of that action. What I want, well, it's not exactly opposite, but the complement of it. Step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. So now you've gone wide. First we did narrow, now we're going wide. Turn your right toes on a 45-degree angle. So they're moving away from you toward the corner over there. Then straighten out the right leg and fold to the space in between the legs. Your right hip, your outer right hip is still moving back, still moving back. You can take your right thumb into that hip crease, move that hip back, and then bring the fingertips or the palms to the floor. Let the head be heavy. Don't do the work with the neck, but keep the spine long. Great. All right, Sophie Newman, your video's off, but I know you're doing a great job. And Radhika Das, I'm sure he's practicing next to his computer. And then switch sides. Step the right foot back and the left foot forward. The foot steps to the outside of the hand, turns on a 45-degree angle, and then slowly extend that leg, extend the leg. You can take the left hand to the hip again, slide the hip back. For those of you that are very mobile, that you have a lot of space, you can lift the left toes away from the floor. Press the left heel down into the floor strong, and then fold over the legs. That will give you a little bit more intensity. In any case, both hands are on the floor, fingertips, and folding over the leg with the foot up or down, your choice. Let the head be heavy. And breathing deeply, fully. Great. We're gonna step back into downward facing dog. Okay. And then make your way up to stand. You can walk the feet forward, hop the feet forward. If you want to do a whole vinyasa, lolasana, upward, downward facing, you can do that as well. But we're going to meet in standing position. We're going to set up for Prasarita Padottanasana, which is a standing straddle forward bend. Step the feet wider apart. Now, we're setting up like we're going to do Prasarita, but we're not exactly going to do Prasarita. And we're gonna get the feet a little bit wider than usual, actually. And the toes are turning either forward or gently in. Then fold forward with the hands to the floor. And as much as you can, lengthen your spine. So I'm gonna switch positions just so you can have an idea of what I want you to think about. So sometimes when we fold forward, the lower back rounds because our head gets closer to the floor, and that makes us feel like, haha, success. I have gotten very far to the floor. But what I want you to think about today is not so much getting close with your head, but by tilting your sitting bones toward the ceiling and lengthening the spine. So I'm going to turn back this way again. You're lengthening the spine forward. And then I want you to walk the feet 1 more or 2 more centimeters wider. 2 more centimeters wider. And then, again, lengthen the spine. One thing that can be very helpful, just try it. As your hands press into the floor, try to scrub the floor away from you in order to lift your sitting bones higher. Can you feel that? Give me a thumbs up in the video if that makes sense to you. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, good. Now take the feet 1 more centimeter wider. See if you can get your pinky toes in line with the edge of your mat. And then again, press the hands into the floor and try to scrub the floor away from you in order to lift the sitting bones up. Then walk your hands wide apart. Try to get the fingertips in line with the toe tips. Now, if you have the ability, see if you can get the next toe in line with the edge of the mat. So instead of the pinky toe, it's the, I don't know, whatever toe that is, the ring finger toe. I'm sure that's the anatomical name of it. Don't look it up, just trust me. Good, and then slowly walking the hands back. You should be well at your range, the end of the range of movement. If you haven't, go to the end of the range of your movement, take some more time. Otherwise, slowly walk the feet together. Roll yourself up to stand. Keep the feet, so I did say walk them together, I shouldn't have said that. Walk them back towards the original straddle forward bend section. And what I want you to do now is start to move your hips side to side. So you're turning, don't make it come from the shoulders. Don't throw your shoulders forward. Initiate the ASIS, the hip bone that's at the front of your body. You can take the hand to the waist and push that forward, push that forward. Then move the whole hip forward toward me, toward the camera, whatever you're facing. Then reach the right arm up and you're leaning back on an angle. Come back center. The instruction is a little bit weird. It's not a movement we do often. We'll do it one more time on each side after this. So the hand is on the hip. You're turning the hip toward the right, but then resist. So the left shoulder moves back. Then move the whole hip so the body weight comes toward the toes. Then reach the left arm up. Lean away from the left leg. Lean away from the left leg. And come back center. I'll try to give those instructions again a little more clearly. Right hand to the right hip. Turn the hip toward the left. But then resist with the spine, with the ribs. Then move the weight of the body through the hips forward, past the toes. Then reach the right arm up as you lean away from the hip. Lean away from the hip, lean away from the hip. Go as far as you can and then come up. Let's try that one last time. Left side. The hip turns. The ribs and the upper chest resist. Then move the weight of the hips, the weight of the body forward past the toes. Reach the left arm up and move away from the hip. Lean away, 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 away. You should be able to go pretty far and then lift up. Good. Walk the heel toe, the feet together, walk the feet together. And just like we did in the beginning of class, I want you to give yourselves a little test. Roll the hips out a few times. Notice if there's any difference in the feeling and how that translates through both directions. Shake the legs out a little bit. Yeah. And then take a few steps around your mat in the space that you have there. Just walk a little bit. Notice how the lower back feels, how the hips feel. If it feels like you need a little bit of movement in any direction, you can take that. If you need another stretch through the front of the hips, if you feel like you need another hamstring lengthener or a pigeon, you can do that at any point. But I want to say thank you now because our time is done. You should be ready for a salsa class now with those new hips. A big thank you again to Radhika Dasa for putting this together. A big thank you to my teachers. Without my teachers, I wouldn't have anything to say. If there's anything I said in this class that you enjoyed, please know it comes directly from my teachers. If there's anything I said that you didn't enjoy, please know that comes directly from me. Um, hey, is there a Jorg in there? Hey, oh, beautiful. Look at that. Thank you again, everybody. Um, Radhika Das, do you want to come on and give us the next thing?
Yeah, thank you so much. Um, it was a beautiful session. I mean, I was, like you said, practicing by the side of my laptop in the mind. But it was definitely a session which I think many of you would have appreciated. If you did, then just give us a thumbs up. Then we can see some appreciation. Yeah, we can see them coming through. Thank you so much. Really appreciate Jules taking the time to share with us, to um, it's sometimes telling when someone is ready to give without expecting in return. And Jules is someone who I know is giving in many different places, but especially when it's for the benefit of the elderly and vulnerable, then from my side, I just want to say thank you, Jules, for your time, your presence. Do you have any closing words, anything that you're inspired with right now?
Sure. Maybe I'll just leave with a couple of ideas on the table. The
Please.
first one is great challenges and difficulty make us aware of the people who are at greater risk, but they continue to be at greater risk even when the trouble passes. So I encourage people to not just get engaged during times of discomfort, but to also stay engaged in social activism, spiritual activism, social justice, even in times that things seem calm.